All right. So the principle is, all right, it's broken down in knowledge, attitude, skill, habits. All right. It's spelled, it's cash. K-A-S-H. Okay. The K, it stands for knowledge, guys. Knowledge, like I mentioned, is not from a place of feeling as though, there's always something more to learn, or feeling as though I've got to be searching for more to learn. No, but like I mentioned, it's from a place of being coachable and teachable, right? Now, like I just mentioned, guys, is as soon as you stop learning, you stop growing. Okay. As soon as you stop learning, you stop growing. As soon as you start growing your income, right? As soon as you stop learning, you start growing. As soon as you start growing, you start growing your income, right? I'm gonna go through all of them. Okay. So knowledge, guys, we gotta be constantly acquiring the knowledge from a place of growth, right? From a place of, going to another level, not from a place of, because I know it can easily feel as though, okay, well, I need to learn this new strategy, or I need to learn this new thing, or I need to learn. No, no, no. It's from a place of personal growth and development. That's what it's from. All right. Let me know if you guys are following. It's from a place of personal growth and development. All right. And because trading and anything in life, really and truly, success is in life, period, is going to be more hinged on, it's going to be more hinged on the mindset you create over the skill sets you develop. All right. It's going to be more hinged on the mindset that's created, right? The way that you think over how you do things. Yeah. So I want to teach you guys tonight on this session how to think first, right? And then what comes second is what to do. Because if you develop, the how to think, if you develop the correct mindset, what's going to happen is that the things to do comes easy. The things to do, right? You actually do them when you learn them. Because some of you guys know, right, that there's so many things that we know, right, but we don't do. How many of you guys can agree with that? Like there's so many things we know, but we don't do. We know, right, that healthy eating will cause us to live a longer life, right? We know, right, that going to the gym and working out, right, is going to help us to have the body that we want. Okay? We know that there's a lot of things that we know, but a lot of things that we don't do. All right. Some of us right now on this call, you know so much right now that you can go ahead and start that business, but you haven't started it as yet. Right? You haven't started it as yet. There is something stopping you from actually going ahead and executing. There's something stopping you from actually going ahead and doing the things that you're supposed to do. That's the difference between you knowing and you actually doing. The difference between you knowing and you actually doing is the way that you actually think, right? It's that gap right there. It's the mindset. Okay. So for trading, for example, that you should have a stop loss when you're trading. You know that you should implement proper risk management when you're trading. You know, right? That you probably shouldn't be trading when you're sleepy, right? You know you probably shouldn't be trading from just your phone. You know that there's some things that you need to learn, right? Before you actually go ahead and execute them on the chart, but you're in a rush to trade, so you just go and jump in the market, right? You know that you shouldn't be gambling in these markets. You know these things, right? We know these things, but yet still, for some reason, we still do otherwise. Anybody with me? Anybody agree? All right? This is just me. All right? We know not to be emotional in these markets. We know not to over leverage. Yeah? We know. But what's stopping us from actually doing? That's just the way that we think. All right. When we look at this word mindset, break it into simple. What mindset? What is your mind set on? Right? What is your mind set on? Because what it is that we constantly think about is what we constantly do. Right? What we constantly think about is what we constantly do. Right? So, what are the words that are replaying in your mind? All right, what is it that you're actually thinking about on a day-to-day basis? What is it that you're thinking about when you approach the market? You know, because that mindset, right? That remember I said the difference, right, between you, what it is that you think and what is you actually do is the mindset. And more specifically, that mindset, right, speaks to identity. Who do you identify as? Right? Because it's in the identity that you actually execute. It's in the identity that you actually do, right? You don't gotta convince an athlete to train. Why? Because that's who they are. They're an athlete. You don't convince an athlete to train. You don't convince a bodybuilder to go to the gym, right? You don't gotta convince them. You don't gotta gas them up. You don't gotta motivate them to go to the gym because that's who they are, right? You don't convince. So put in the chat some of the things that you guys do, right? Just from this perspective, right? You don't convince a trader to trade. All right, put in the chat. Let me know. All right, you don't convince a tennis player to play tennis. You don't have to convince Venus and Serena. All right, you don't have to convince them when they were young to go and play tennis because that's who they identified as. They identified as a professional tennis player. So if you identify as a professional trader, you don't gotta convince you to do what professional traders do. But if you're just winging it, then you're gonna do those things, right? If you see yourself as, you're just trying this thing out, then you're gonna do those things, all right? If you don't identify, as a as an athlete, or if you don't identify as someone that's healthy, or you don't identify as someone that's disciplined, or you don't identify as someone, that is consistent, what's going to happen, what's going to show up in your life? Inconsistency, right? Indiscipline, right? Those things are going to show up constantly over and over and over and over. I was having a conversation with someone the other day and I told them, hey, listen, look, what's very, very, very important to understand. Sometimes we look at, all these different situations and people and so forth that are around us and so on. And, they say, man, like all these things always happening to me. People always saying this about me and da da da, and they're blaming everybody else, right? They're blaming every other situation, right? But what's the constant? What's the one constant in any space that you show up in, right? What's the one constant in every space that you show up in? What's the one constant? The one constant is you. Yeah? The one constant is you. Like the environment's changed, but guess what? You are the only constant. You are the same. So any space that you go in, we might point the finger, man, is this person, is that person, is this situation, and this, and that, and this. You point, right? But you never look at you. You never look at the man in the mirror, right? I'm talking about the man in the mirror. You never look at the man in the mirror. Yeah, the one constant is you. So when you show up to the charts, when you show up, right? When you're trading, when you show up with your money, okay, when you show up with your money, the one constant is you. So what we gotta do? We gotta make a decision. You know what? I gotta get better. I gotta grow, right? That's our first K. That's our first letter, right? The K, the knowledge, right? I've gotta grow. I've gotta become better. Intentional growth is required, right? Because growth never happens by accident, right? Growth never happens by accident. Age and time doesn't equate to growth. Do you guys know that? Right? Age and time doesn't equate to growth. Right? How long have you been in this space? How long have you been in the profit arena? Put it in the chat. Right? How long have you been in the profit arena? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat real quick. Let's go. Right? Talk to me. I'm talking to you guys when you guys are talking to me. Right? Someone said a month. Okay, cool. Put it in the chat. Let me know. All right. 4 months, 2 months, 2 months. since February 2025. Okay, cool. All right. 4 months. Anybody else? Drop it in the chat. Talk to me in the call. 3 weeks, 12 days. Whoa. Inception. She. Let's go. March 25th. We got specifics. Jeanette, 4 weeks. Georgia, 4 months. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Now, here's a question I want you to ask yourself. In those 4 months, in those 4 weeks, in those 12 days, have you actually been showing up? Have you actually been plugging in? Have you actually gone through the education, plug yourself into the calls, right? Have you actually, for that time period that you have been here, can you say, you know what? I give it 100%. Put in the chat. If you can say give it 100%, put 100% in the chat, right? If you know without a shadow of a doubt, I give 100%, right? Put 100% in the chat, and you know I could not have done anything more. I want you to put 100% in the chat. Right? I could not have done nothing more, right? Put 100% in the chat. And I don't blame nobody. Right? Remember, we're talking about the man in the mirror, okay? Right? If you could not have done any more, put 100% in the chat. All right. What about 90%? If you got 90%, put a 90%. All right. 80%. You can say, all right, you know what, Kai? I could say 80%. I probably put like 80%. All right. I probably put like 80%. 70%. 70%. Yeah, 60. We bordering 60. I want you to be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody here to share lashes. All right. It's for you. I want you to be honest with you, right? 60%, all right, 50%, you know, the lower end about 40. You know, okay, boy, okay, I'm be honest, you know, probably about 40%. You know what I mean? 40% need to get serious. All right. I need to get serious 40%. I like that honesty, Adrian. All right, 30%. Anybody at 30? All right, we ain't going no lower than 30 though. But if anybody at 30, all right, cool. All right, and there's the first step, you know what I mean? Obviously to change and so forth. You gotta acknowledge it. Yeah. For us to make the shift, you know, for you to move from where you are to where is you want to be, you gotta become actually the first thing is that when you write this down, first thing is awareness. Right? You gotta be aware. All right. You gotta be aware that okay, you know, where the challenge is not anyone else. The challenge is me. Yeah, I haven't done what I was supposed to do. Yeah, to be quite honest, I haven't done what I was supposed to do. Okay, the challenge is me. Yeah. So after you become aware of it, right? The second thing is that you gotta acknowledge it, right? We gotta acknowledge it. It's not like, all right, yeah, bro, you know, I mean, yeah, I became aware that that's the problem. The problem is actually me. It's not anybody else, right? It's not my calendar. It's not my time, right? It's not, you know, anyone else. It is me, and I acknowledge that, right? I acknowledge that. So I become aware of it. I acknowledge it, right? And now I acknowledge it and actually gotta take action on it. Okay? So those three A's. You become aware of it, you acknowledge it, and then it's time to take action on it. Okay? So the action now, obviously now it's like, okay, what are the action steps? What do I need to do? What do I need to put in place, you know, for me to take advantage of this space, you know, for me to go to another level as a trader, you know, for me to just become better, right? What do I need to do? Here's the first thing that you could do, right? Show up. Listen, listen, that takes care of about 50% of your problem. Showing up. Many people don't show up. You know, it's too busy. Let's go ask excuse. Somebody else's fault. My wife made me get home late from work, right? Like I was tired. The work, the job got me so like all I could do when I got home was sleep, right? Man, the markets. Man, I put in a stop loss. And I feel like every time I put in a stop loss, the market is be after my stop loss, right? Man, it's right. The guys, listen, you know what I mean? Like, well, you can't blame nobody else, right? I know the first action step is to show up, be present, right? Be present. right? Because there's a difference between being in this space, right? Being plugged in to the profit arena and being present. There's a difference. There's about 780 persons right now that are in the space, but they're not present. All right. Like they're in the space. They have the access. The door is here. Sometimes, right, we pray for doors. Yeah, right. We pray, my God, man, like I need an opportunity. Right? I need an opportunity. Need an opportunity, the opportunity, the opportunity. Lord present you with this opportunity. Give you the door, but you know what happened? We don't watch it. Right? We do not watch. We're standing in front the door, but do not walk through the door. Ain't nobody else fault, You get put in this space, right? You get placed in this space. At first, the excuse was, "Man, I had the money." I always wanted to learn how to trade, but I had the money. All right, Laura saying, no problem. I can give you a free space, right? You get the free space now. I know it's like, man, I got the time. No, if it was Jesus, right? I was sick. Listen, sometimes it's what on right now. I'd be like, yo, you asked me for opportunity, big man. Give you the opportunity, right? You I had the money, no problem, and make it free. All right? No, it's free, you don't got the time. My guy, right? What you want me to do now at this point, right? What you want me to do? All right? And that's how we just miss opportunities. So anyway, guys, the first thing, like I said, man, you gotta be present. All right? You gotta be present. And then here's the second thing, right? Make a decision. Okay? Make a decision. All right? Make a decision. Decide. All right? Decide. So much things happen after you decide, right? So much things happen after you decide. Like there's no if mights, buts, or maybes, right? Like there's so much things that happen afterwards, like because now it's intentional. When you decide, it's intentional. Everything else after that is intent, right? Everything else after that is intent. Right? So no, you gotta be intentional. Decide. You know what? Listen, this is what I'm gonna do. This is the results I'm gonna get. This is the time that I'm gonna allocate. This is where I'm gonna be here. On Mondays at 7 p.m., I am here. On Thursdays at 7 p.m., I am here. If I told you that every Monday at 7 p.m., $1 million was here for you, would you show up? The answer in your mind just now was yes. You are faking yourself. You are playing games, right? Because it's not the time now, right? And I love what Sherry just said. It's the reason why. Why are you showing up, right? Because no money, if money is your motivating factor, right? Money, it will never be enough, right? Money is never a reason. It's only the result, right? Money is never the reason, it is only the result. Money, right, might get you started, but money ain't gonna keep you going like that. Yeah? It's what the money can do. Money is never the reason, it's only the result, right? It's the why. Why is it that you're getting up every morning and doing this? Why is it that you are plugging in to learn? Or why is it that you want to make the money? Right? What is it the money can do? Right? What is it that the money can do? All right? Somebody say preaching. All right. So that's the first thing. Yeah. I didn't intend for the entire session to be like this, but we here now. Okay. So first thing, the key is knowledge. All right. Everybody got the key? Right? I want you to like really think about what I just said. You know what I mean? I want you to really look at you. Stop blaming. You know what I mean? Stop blaming. Blaming, blaming, blaming. It's easy to blame. right? And it's easy to do too. It's easy to quit. It don't take nothing to quit. It's like, yeah, am I done with that? Oh, sure. Well, kudos to you. That was hard to do. Nobody remembers the guy that quit, right? You don't have somebody that left the chat today. Anybody know who they are? No, no, nobody remembers the guy that quit. But you know who people gonna remember? People gonna remember that Carrie put a video in the chat when she first came into the space and she was talking about, she's just trying to learn and so on and so forth. And then a couple months later, boom, she posted another video about the results and so forth that she's getting. Happens to people that you remember. People that show up, people that be consistent, people that's putting the effort, people that is do, people that is straight, right? But the people that's quit, it's like, fine. Is that you're already in a low pain. You know what I mean? You're already uncomfortable a little bit. Get a reward, right? You already met the investment. Like you feel that I just invest money to not get a return, like some way, shape, form, or fashion, I'm going to get a return, right? Let me show you this. And let me be very, very talking very straight, right? There's some individuals that say, you know what, man, listen, I made an investment and so forth, the app, like 1 month, I've been working a month, I quit. It's like, okay, all right. It, you did 30 days. Wow, that was spectacular. Right? 30 days I'm allocated to learn how to trade. And if it don't work out, I quit. It's just so Mhm. This guy being so serious at this point. Right? Like listen, you got to you like listen, here's the next thing, right? And we stuck on you for a little bit, right? When I say you and me and me, us. We gotta give ourselves time. All right? We gotta give ourselves time. The main reason that I see individuals not go ahead and accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, and this applies to any space, right? Because I also do, I also help entrepreneurs build their business and so on, right? So one of the main things is that individuals don't give themselves enough time to succeed. They always got this time limit on themselves before anything happens. They say, you know what, listen, I'm going to do this for this amount of time. Anybody ever done that? Be honest, put it in the chat, right? You say, you know what, listen, I am going to give this 30 days. I am going to give this 90 days. I'm going to give this, XYZ amount of time. And if it don't work, I'm quitting. Anybody ever done that? Be honest, I've done it. All right. You give yourself the out before you even start. Right? You give yourself the out before you even start. You know what happens? Immediately, right? Immediately, you have already quit before you've done anything. But let me show you a different perspective now, right? Here's the other end of the scale now, right? There have been times that I say, you know what? Listen, I'm going to do this until what? Okay? Until I see success, until I see results, right? Until time, it's until I see the results, until I do what is necessary, until I have grown and become, until, right? It is until. There's no time, right? It is until. As soon as we give ourselves a date, right? We have quit before we've even started. We have quit before we even started, right? Ronald, you agree with me, bro? Right? Joshua, you agree with me, bro? Right? As soon as we have given ourselves a date, we have quit before we have even started. You gotta have the mindset that listen, I am going to do until because you know what it does. You have given yourself the out with the time again, pointing the finger at somebody else, right? Pointing the finger at somebody else. You give yourself a time limit, right? So now the time is the person, is the thing that you are pointing at. No, so man, well, 90 days come, 30 days come, and then see the results. That's it for me. Right? What about I'm gonna give myself until I become disciplined, until I have got this skill down that I can't get it wrong, right? Until I am executing trades over and over the same way and I can't get it wrong. Until I see a loss and it doesn't phase me, right? Until I'm no longer over leveraging. Until, right? What about those untils that are personal and not pointed at someone else? Am I making sense, guys? Right? Am I making sense? Until I can look at the chart and it's like it doesn't matter if it is a stock, it doesn't matter if it's an industry, it doesn't matter if it's crypto, it doesn't matter, right? If it is Forex, right? I can look at a chart and I can know this is what is going to happen until, right? Those untils now become personal. It's a personal until now, right? It's personal growth. It's not time. It's not somebody else, right? You know, man, I'm gonna do this as long as somebody holds me accountable. Bro, you're shooting yourself in the foot already, right? And I think this all of this takes us into the second letter already, right? Which is the A, the attitude, right? But I don't. A is the attitude, right? This is your attitude, right? When you're showing up, do you have, you right? Is your attitude blame, right? Or is your attitude personal responsibility? Right? Is your attitude I am going to win? Is your attitude I am going to be consistent? Is your attitude one of persistence or one of complaint? You know, again, it's so easy to complain. Complain, 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 complain. Man, this ain't happen, this ain't happen, man. This always happen. Man, you may put a trade in the signals group and it lost. That's way down. Man, this happened and that happened. And then it's people that's complain all the time. It's one time like shut up, man. Like, oh, you just complain, you do anything else. Right? Please, you just you just do anything else besides complain. All right, what about you? What about you? Man, I was in that arena space and man, I didn't see the results. And then they started to what I started to create this coalition to do billing. You know what I mean? They started gathering people that, I was like mine, say, oh yeah, man, I was there too, and so on and so forth. Man, I didn't really send it to that. I didn't know what's happening. All right. Somebody like me to step in and just ask them, but what about you do? What you do? You plug in on calls. You went through the education. You actually do what was necessary, or it was like just a blame game for you. And I mean, I want you to be that person to yourself, right? Because no, it's like no, it's like personal responsibility. What could in any space that I go in, the question I ask myself is, what could I have done better? Yeah, this person did X, Y, Z, right? Yeah, that may have contributed to, but what could I have done better? Right? What could I have done better? And then you start to, do some introspection. You start to, like I said, look at you in the mirror, you know what I mean? And look at, okay, well, I could have showed up a little bit more. I could have actually plugged into the education and apply it. I could have watched the videos. It was a video shoot, right? But man, you just learn better in the face-to-face environment. So again, we making an excuse for ourselves, right? It might learn better. It may be true, but it's still an excuse, right? You learn better in a face-to-face environment and so forth. Man. But you know what? Here's the other thought process. That the Zoom is face-to-face too. His face is on Zoom. His face to you. It's like it's the same thing, All right. But what happened is that we don't unlock those type of thoughts because we're looking for something to blame. Right? As soon as we don't take responsibility, right? As soon as we don't take responsibility, we just blame, 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 blame. Right? Everybody following? All right, everybody still locked in with me? Kids had to learn via Zoom in COVID. Absolutely. We had to shift and pivot, right? All of a sudden, everybody now could do work from Zoom. Before, a lot of things you had to come into the office to do. All of a sudden, now you could do things off Zoom because certain circumstances change. You could either in that time, watch this, right? I love that, Sherry, right? Because in that time of COVID, You had two options: complain or pivot, right? Complain or pivot. Complain or shift. Complain or change, right? Complain or change. All right. There's a quote that says, in times of change, the learners inherit the earth, right? But the learned find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. I want, I want you guys to hear me, right? In times of change, the learners inherit the earth. But the learned, the people that says, you know what, man, there's nothing else to learn, right? My I sat in the ways, my ways, etc. Those people are beautifully equipped. Like, hear the words, they're beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. Like, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? Eric Hoffman, love it, Kurt. Exactly. In times of change, the learners inherit the earth. And while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped. Like take that, all right? Post that in your bedroom. Like, post it on your wall. All right? Put it in your phone. I'm telling you, that when I first heard that changed my life. It shows you gotta be growing. You gotta be constantly growing. All right? Gotta be constantly going to the next level. Personal development is key. It's key. All right? Because what's this now, right? And that's let him know is the S, it's a skill, right? It's a skill. Because the thing about this, right? It's always twofold. It's always going to be twofold. It's going to be mindset and it's going to be skill set. It's a mindset and it's going to be skill set. The skill set is faster to learn. The mindset takes time. All right. The skill set is faster to learn. Anybody can learn a skill in 8 weeks. Boom. Put you in a space, 8 weeks to dedicate, you learn a skill. Skill set is simple. Learning the trade is not hard. Right? You understand uptrend, downtrend, consolidation. You understand highs, lows. You understand order blocks, supply, demand. You understand liquidity. You understand stop loss, take profit, skills, 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 skills. But you know what takes time to develop? Consistency. You know what takes time to develop? Discipline. You know why? Because for years, right, we have developed inconsistency. It is harder to change character than it is to change a skill, than it is to develop a skill. It is harder to change character. Like, character is innate who you are. All right. It's harder to change identity than it is, right, to to develop a skill. It's gonna take time. Right. And that's why that's why I'm patient with people. You know what I mean? That's why I'm patient with you guys in the space and so forth. Because I know, right? I know, man, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time for you to get to a place where it's like, you know what? I gotta check myself. Right? And not just check myself, but I gotta work on myself. Right? Those things take time. Right? It takes time to develop. Right? But the skill, I know you can get the skill. So I know I'm gonna be having conversations with you guys about over leveraging. I know I'm gonna be having conversations about you guys being impatient. I know I'm gonna have conversations with you guys about, like just giving, for example, the app more than a month. All right. I know I'm gonna be having conversations with you guys, about things that are that has to do with your mindset and nothing to do with the skill. Right? Most of the questions that you ask are nothing skill related. Right? It's most of the questions that my clients say always over leveraging. Right? Man, like I kind of impatient when it comes to these trades. I'm impatient too. Right? I'm impatiently impatient. If that even makes sense, right? But it's got sometimes I just be like, bro, listen, hurry up. I got other things to do. Right? You're taking too long to move. This train taking too long. Hurry up and move. All right, hurry up. I got other things to go and do. Let me hurry up and hit the TP. All right, hurry up and activate. All right, when it activates, like, all right, hurry up, no move. All right, hurry up. I'd be impatient. Be like, bro. And I mean, so but it happens. And I mean, it happens, guys, right? But I know I'm gonna be having those conversations, right? I know I'm gonna be having those conversations, right? But mindset, skill set. Skill set is easy, guys. Always remember that, man. All right. The The skill is only 10% of it. The rest, right? I would say this is a skill. Developing the right mindset is a skill. That's the other 90. Okay. So any space you go in, right? Any space that you go in, right? There's going to be a level of people that execute on a certain level, right? They got this skill. Great. You know what separates them? Right? It's the way that they think. All right. Me and my wife, we don't hire individuals based on their skill level. Yeah, we have a salon right now with one, two, three, four, four staff. All right. We don't hire anybody based on their skill. You know why? Because you can teach skill. All right. You can teach skill. What we look at first is character. Anybody that I work with, anybody that comes into this space, or anybody that you see, for example, maybe an admin or anything like that within the profit arena, we don't look at your skill. Like I don't care about your skill. Right? No, I don't care, but like skill is secondary. I want to know the person that you are. So Nathan, when I look at you, when I have a conversation with you, or Kishel, or Carrie, or Max, or Nicole, or Nikki, or Ty, or Stephanie, or Stacy, you know what I mean, or Shakira, or Vicky, right, or Victor, when I have a conversation with you, I'm not looking at how great of a trader you are. That's cool. You know what I mean? Yes, the one you get the skill, but I'm looking at like, what type of person are you? And if I got work with you, you know what I mean? I'm looking at what type of person am I working with? Yeah. How great of a speaker they are. And I don't put Kurt, we don't collab and so forth and have Kurt on these calls and Fabian and so forth on these calls because of how great of a speaker they are or how great of a teacher they are. It's because of their character first, right? I know that these guys innately care about people. They want to see other individuals win, right? This is a free space. When Kurt drops, and I just publicly acknowledge him, when Kurt drops his charts and so forth in the community, right? Without anybody asking him to, you know what I mean? And helping the community and so forth, like you see, like that's somebody that has a heart for somebody, right? That has a heart for people, want to see people win. Those are the things that I care about. I don't care about how great of a trader you are. There's some people that just come and post profits. You know why? Because they just want no, please don't misunderstand. Right? Post your profits. We want to see your testimony. Yeah. I want to see your results. Yeah, for sure. Right. But like I said, it's from the place. Like where is it coming from? Right. There's some people that post because it's like, look at me, you know. Woo, right? Look at me, right? But then there's some people that post because it's like, yo, listen, I want to inspire somebody in the group, right? I want to inspire somebody else in the group because, like Shari, I know for sure that Shari posts because it's like, I want to inspire somebody else. I want people to see, like, you know what, listen, like 2 years ago, I was getting licks. I know, like, yo, I licking up the market, right? To inspire somebody else. Okay, so it's like skill is secondary. Those things don't move me, right? So, if you ever wanted to even attempt to work with me, like I don't care how great you are, we could teach you greatness. I could teach you how to trade, you know, I could teach you how to trade, but I can teaching you how to deal with people. Those things take time. All right. So I gotta know like who you are. You know what I mean? So I just use that as an example. You know what I mean? So like when you go into any space, like whoever you're working with or wherever you work or whatever environment you go into and so forth. Remember, like I said, you're the constant. Who do you show up as? All right? I want you to ask yourself this question, all right? Are you the gasoline to fire or are you the water to it? Right? Like when situations and challenges arise and so forth, are you the person that pours gasoline on the fire? Are you the person that pours the water on the fire? Yeah. It's like, oh man, like, that's the people that's come and complain. You know what I mean? People come and complain to you, it's like, no problem, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? Let me go and get the person you complaining about. We all have a conversation here, right? Don't let, anyway, so guys, you know what I mean? Like, don't, who are you showing up as? All right, who are you showing up as? So when you show up to these charts daily, who are you showing up as? All right. Here's the last one. The last one is H, is habits. All right. I think we covered that somewhere, some form or fashion throughout this entire session. You know, like what are you doing every single day? You know, has become habit, and it becomes a habit because of identity. All right. Not because you say, no, I'm gonna do this thing for 21 days. I've seen people do things for 21 days, and on the 22nd day, done. All right. I'm gonna work over 21 days. On day 22, oops, peace. Done with that. All right. So you don't think 21 days to build no habit. You can forget that. All right. It takes identity to build a habit. All right. It takes identity to build a habit. All right. There's a book called Atomic Habits. All right, by James Clear. I want you to get that book. All right, Atomic Habits by James Clear. All right, get that book. Great book. All right, phenomenal book. You know, it's going to help significantly for sure, and especially like I mentioned, you know, like identity and so forth, right? And change, you want to grow, develop, become, you know, Atomic Habits, phenomenal book. All right, get that book. Yeah. So tonight, you know, is a different type of session. Um, and we're not finished actually, you know, like one more, two more things I'm gonna share with you. But I really want you to, you know, really look at you, right? Really look at you. Stop blaming, you know what I mean? Stop casting blame. Like, those things easy to do. Pointing fingers is so easy to do. You know, it's because of you, it's because of her, it's because of him. Those things are easy. All right. But what about me? All right. And here's what I want you to do, right? I want you to get somebody that's close to you, that's going to be honest with you, and just ask them, like, what do you honestly think about me? Right? Like, I ain't gonna cry, you know, I ain't gonna be depressed or anything like that. All right, but I want your honest feedback. Like when you are around me, what's the feeling that you just get? Right? You just feel like, like I want to be there, right? Because like you're supposed to love everybody, right? But you just don't like everybody, right? You don't even like a person, though. You like to be around the person. You know what I mean? I can love you, and I love you from afar. Yeah, bro. But I don't want to be around you. You know what I mean? It's like ask the person, like, when you are around me, like, what's the feeling that you just get? You just get a feeling of like, yeah, boy, you know what I mean? It could go to the next level. Like, it inspire you? It make you feel like, we got accomplished something, or you just be like, just trying to help and get from you, right? And some people probably ain't gonna have that honest of feedback to you, but ask questions still. Like, what's the areas that you think that I could grow in? What's the areas that you think that I could develop in? What do you think is some of my flaws? You know what I mean? And then also ask them as well, like, what do you think are some of my strengths? Like what's the areas that I do well in? You know what I mean? But ask these questions, because sometimes we be lying to ourselves. We be looking at ourselves in the mirror, and it's one of them mirrors that's just all that's got your shapely and make you look for the fellas, make you look buff. And then we get in the gym, one of them mirrors is make you look big. You barely do two arm curls, Scotty, and you feel it. Yeah, 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 yeah. We did know, right? You don't want that kind of mirrors, right? So you gotta have honest conversation, ask somebody else and so forth. All right. Ask somebody else. Now, one more thing that I want to share with you guys, all right? So we just spoke about cash, all right? Knowledge, attitude, skill, and habits, all right? I want to highlight something here, especially for this space that we are in. All right. Um, Let me really just want to this message real quick. Everyone is not there at the same pace. Like in the question, we don't have a discipline. Therefore, we have to have empathy. Yeah, absolutely, Susie. 100%, right? 100%, right? And not just have empathy, right? But you gotta also give yourself grace, right? So actually, I love this point, Susie, right? You gotta also give yourself grace because what can happen is that you start to look at other individuals, at how people are progressing, right? How people are progressing, and then you start to be like, oh my, my me and Kishelle come in this space the same time, right? And she getting through, and I getting through, right? But this is where you just gotta remember that although remember time is not the same, right? Here, write this down, right? Time, break it down. Time stands for things I must experience. All right, things I must experience. Y'all might have been here for the same time in the environment for the same time, but there's some things that you would have experienced, right, differently. Right? You might have experienced more in the markets. You might have done more in the markets. You might have done more from a learning perspective, right? That person might have done way more than you from a learning perspective. That person might have been learning 2 years before and you didn't know, right? But y'all show up to this space together at the same time, but she's experienced or he's experienced way more than you have. Right? And that's what you can't look at other individuals to compare yourself. You look at other individuals, right, to as inspiration for you, right? So you don't look to compare and compete with other individuals. Look to individuals to collab. All right. Look at individuals to collab with them. Look at individuals to be inspired with them. All right. Correct. So you only competition with yourself. Only compete with you, right? And look at other individuals, for inspiration. All right. And here's the thing, what I mean, is that sometimes we be thinking, man, look, I I ain't get where I want to get. I haven't gone to where it is I want to go, but we never look back and see, you know what, listen, but look how far I come. Right? 3 weeks ago, I didn't even know what chart was. All right, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I didn't even know, what risk management was. I didn't even know how to look at analyze a chart before, right? I didn't even know how to do XYZ, right? So we never look back and celebrate ourselves. We never look back to see how far we've come, right? Because sometimes you're so much focusing forward, like looking ahead and seeing, okay, well, this is where I want to go. And here's the truth, right? That's personal. I do it a lot. I'd be like, I get there yet. This is where is I trying to be. And sometimes you don't celebrate these small wins, right? Sometimes you don't take the time out and say, oh man, listen, you see this? Yeah, boy, you do X, Y, Z, boom, boom, boom. Right? You was able to accomplish X, Y, Z, boom, boom, boom. Because you're so much looking at, I haven't got theirs yet. I haven't got to where is it want to go. Right? You got goals, yeah. And you be so focused on the goal that you don't even focus on the growth. Right? You be so focused on the goal that you don't focus or acknowledge the growth. Right? You just have to write down my own note. Like, it's crazy. Right? It's crazy. Right? And so this is where, like, guys, I want to encourage you guys that in the process, right, you gotta be patient. In the process, you gotta be patient. It is easy to look at again, and it's just so interesting how we got here, right? It's easy to look at, where you are not, where your account is not, right? But you know that there was a time where all you were doing was blowing accounts. Now you're probably at a space where it's like, my account may go into profit and then it comes back around break even, right? Going to small loss and it comes back around break even. So I'm neither profiting, I'm neither losing. I progressed from blowing accounts, right? I progressed from blowing an account, right? Progressed from there, right? And like I will always say, that trading is a gift and a curse, right? The gift is you can make a lot of money quickly. The curse is that you can make a lot of money quickly. So what happens is that it tends to blind our perspective, right? Let me show you guys something. Anyone ever made like 10% on their account? 10%. Like you saw 10%, like whatever your balance was, you won a trade and it was 10% growth on your account. right? I mean, like your account has, I mean, whether it's negative, it don't matter. It's just want you guys to understand what I'm saying. You had $300 in your account, you made $30. You had $200 in your account, you saw a return of $20. You had $500 in your account, you saw a return of $50. Yeah, you guys understand what I'm saying? Okay, good, right? And I want you to have mindset, right? Perspective here, right? Even let's say, for example, with the app, right? Let's say you have $300 in your account, you made 10%, you made $30 in your account, right? Do you know that if you invested your money in the S&P 500, anybody knows the S&P 500? Let me know. Put a 5 minute chat. Anybody knows the S&P 500? Even if you don't know, you probably saw it on the news, CNN. You see it coming across at the bottom, right? S&P 500, right? Perfect. If you invested your money in S&P 500, you know that you get 10% return after a year. In a good year, 10%. That's your return after a good year. Anybody know that? All right. Perspective. All right. You just beat or did what the S&P does in a year in one trade. We'll be tripping. All right. We'll be tripping. You know that typical investments that if you had to put money, for example, within like insurance or anything of the sort, it takes maybe like 5 years, not even 5 years, right? It's maybe about within your when you probably get to year 10 or something like that, is when you really start to see like cash values and that kind of stuff on your insurance. Anybody ever saw that? Anybody ever saw like the breakdown? Maybe like after 10 years of you paying consistently, like that's when it really starts to see like cash values. Anybody ever seen that before? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what we give ourselves 30 days. All right, we see 10% return, we ungrateful. All right. We see, for example, the out went on minus, now it come back up, and no, you're wrong. Your break-even point, man. I haven't met the money yet. I'm spending $8. Every month I paying $300 in insurance. And I ain't gonna see a return until about 10 years. Perspective. All right. As I said, trading is a gift and a curse, right? And I talking straight because I want you guys to understand, like it's a mindset. Yeah. It's a mindset. If it is that we have the wrong perspective, we will always miss it. Right. And if you have the wrong perspective, right? The wrong write this down, all right? Perspective equals performance. Perspective equals performance. The way that I see a thing determines the way that I actually treat it. All right. The way that I see a person determines the way that I treat them. All right. The way that I see investing determines the way that I treat it. All right. The way that I see my money, the way determines the way that I treat it. Your perspective will equal your performance. Okay. If I see trading as some type of get rich quick thing, and you don't get rich quick, you are going to quit. Perspective will equal your performance. Trading is an investment. Trading is a skill. Trading is a mindset. All right. Trading is long term. A couple months ago, you had no idea how to make money from your phone. Well, you got that now, right? But we saw in a hurry, we saw in a rush, right? You say, man, I want it. No, 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 right? Carrie would tell you that she almost blew a trading account, right? She didn't blow it, great, right? I mean, she's listening and so forth, right? But she almost blew a trading account. But what you will see is, man, let Carrie getting results, no, right? Sherry would tell you that she probably blew trading accounts, right? But no, look, she getting some results, no, right? Michelle will tell you there's a time that she was like, bro, listen, I have no idea what's going on in these markets, all right? But right now, I'm catching it. It's clicking. right? It's clicking, right? Like we don't start there. Like we want to always start at the destination, but it's a journey, it's a process. All right, it's things that happens over time. It's a growth process that has to take place, right? But it starts with you having the right perspective. This is not a get rich quick anything. The app was not designed for you to get rich quick. The app was designed for you, right, to see growth long term, right, and over time. So if you are not willing to give that over time and long term growth, because I mean, watch this, right? Perspective, once again, perspective, right? I know in some individuals, man, they're concerned about $99, and I understand. Listen, please, I completely understand, right? But have this perspective, right? Let me show you something. You know that it's only $99 regardless of whatever you put on the account. All right, regardless of whatever you put on your trading account. Let me show you something. And if you had to put 10 grand, just example, let's say you had to put 10 grand on your trading account, you made 10% today. You made $1,000, but you ain't paying $99 for the assets. Did the perspective change though? All right, because here's the thing about trading, I want you guys to remember this, all right? Trading, you don't necessarily invest the money that you put onto your trading account. It's there for leverage. I want you to grasp this mindset, right? Grasp this perspective. This only hit me, baby, like a couple months ago. The money that's on my trading account is there for leverage. It's not necessarily that I've invested it, right? Because usually, we think, when you make an investment, the money's gone. Like you can't get it back, it's gone, right? But when you put the money in your trading account, you can go and take it back off tomorrow. All right. So the real difference is that having the money on your trading account is there so you can leverage it because you're taking consistent risk on your trading account, 1 to 3%. Cool. So our risk is 1 to 3%. That's what's our risk. That's the advantage of having the app because it takes the human out of it, it takes the person out of it, it takes the emotion out of it because you know that every single time between 1% or 3% of your account is going to be at risk. All right, great. Then you've got, for example, like the safeguard feature, which is about 50%, right? You set 40 to 50%. So even if you invested $1,000, right? You say, you know what, listen, I am willing to lose 40%. That's $400. That's what you invested. That's what's at risk, the $400. Of the thousand, the $400, right? But you have the thousand as leverage. So if I had to put 2,000, I got the 2,000 as leverage. If I had to put 5,000, I got the 5,000 as leverage. If I had to put the 10,000, I put the 10,000 as leverage. But my risk per trade remains the same. And I can earn 1%. I can earn 2%. I can earn 3%. Boom. I can earn that like that. All right. Perspective. I'm making sense. All right. Let me know. Let me know if I'm making sense. I was just me. Yeah. Let me know if I'm making sense, guys. I want to help you overall with your perspective with these markets. Because if we see it, you remember the way that you see a thing determines the way that you actually treat it. All right. So if you have for your personal trading and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna put $100 in my trading account. All right. And then if you're over here trying to do gymnastics with the 100, you're gonna work yourself hard. All right. You're gonna work yourself hard. It's perspective, right? So when you make money on the account, right, and you make $10 on $100 account, you're just like, bro, I just did all of that for $10, right? But the perspective is like, bro, you just made 10%. You know that? And you just made 10%. Right? Perspective, right? It's just that to you it looks like it's only $10 because it's $100 account. But if it was $1,000, it'd be 100. If it was 10,000, it would be 1,000. If it was 100,000, it'd be 10,000. It's 10%. The percent don't change. Yeah, the percent don't change. Okay, so you have the right perspective. You have the right perspective. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. I tell you, trust me when I tell you this. You're gonna be good. All right. Your personal trading. You take a loss, right? And you take multiple losses, but you got proper risk. Listen, you good, right? If you're over leveraging though, you got a problem. You know what I mean? You got a problem. If you put $1,000 in your account and it disappear, we need to have a session, right? We need to have a chat, right? And if you put 2 grand in the account and you blow it, or you just topping up, you're treating the markets like a charity. Like we gotta have a conversation, okay? So guys, all in all, man, I hope this session was of value to you, right? I know we didn't go into any of these skills. We didn't go into, the to-dos, right? But I think tonight was good, from a perspective on, like how to think, rather than what to do, right? But yeah, man, you guys can let me know, put a five in the chat, put something, one, anything, and just let me know, man, that yeah, you got some type of value from this session. It was helpful in some shape, form, or fashion. Something for sure. Okay, good. Needed this. Today's was well needed. Spoke to my soul, not to your soul. Spoke to my soul. Viable wake up session that was needed. Yeah, that part. God, as always, motivation is appreciated, right? I just think like I don't want you guys to be motivated, you know what I mean? Because like motivation wears off, right? Like leave provoked, leave feeling like, all right, I gotta make some changes. I gotta do something different. Like I gotta make some decisions here. All right, I gotta change my perspective. I gotta work on me, decide. Like I want you to feel challenged. I want you to feel like, all right, I gotta do. I don't want you to feel motivated because you get hyped. So like, yeah, boy, here we go. All right. And then tomorrow comes is like, nah, boy, I ain't going no more tired. All right. Don't be motivated. All right. But when you get to like, let it be the beginning of like transformation. You know what I mean? Let change take place. Be provoked to do different. All right. We do need to be reminded sometimes the scolding was needed. Janelle, you saw that scolding? Is it man in the mirror perspective for me? Okay, awesome. A lot to change going forward. The right mindset is needed from the jump. Put the hearts above the car. This is valuable. Thank you, much needed. Definitely a great session. Lots of value needed. Real talk. Perfect, perfect. Glad to hear it. For real. Glad to hear it. All right. Glad to hear it. So guys, real quick, actually, here's what we'll do, right? I want you for those of you that like utilize social media and so forth, like you guys, if you usually utilize social media, like my Instagram name is in the this in my name, all right? At K.A.S.H. Let's connect. You know what I mean? Let's connect. Like if you got anything. If you got anything of value, like screenshot this, all right? Screenshot this post and at me on it with the whatever you got, all right? Whatever you got from the session and so forth, all right? For those of you that utilize it, all right? And also let's use that as a means to connect and so forth too. Okay. Kurt, I saw your mic unmuted. That was intentional.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay, okay. Right, right. So yeah, guys. Also, let me ask you guys this question real quick before we hop off the call. All right. So do the social media stuff so that I can connect. I see you guys and connect with y'all and so forth. We can connect on Instagram and that kind of stuff, right? I get to see some of y'all that I don't know who you are, right? But we can stay connected that way as well. But yeah, I want to ask you guys this question on. We got some bank holidays and so forth coming up, right? I gotta ask questions to those people that be plugging in. We got some bank holidays coming up. What y'all think about like a fun day? You know what I mean? Like we go to the beach and do like a games day or some get some we bring out some food and just lime and vibe and that kind of thing, meet one another in a chill setting. laugh, we play some games on the beach and et cetera, et cetera. What do you guys think about that? Like, anybody interested, open? All right, are you like, nah, nah, bro, we just here for trading and about that, so you know what I mean? Oh Lord, Keisha, I'm so sorry. Keisha, Keisha, Lucia. Right. Chris said, bolt it. Yeah, like Ken Jordan. Yeah, correct. Anything like that. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Like, even if it's responses, right? Well, I have to take a flight to Ben. For the people that are in Barbados, I need a response. Respond to me. Let me know when I start. Everybody else are not in Barbados, trying to be here, all right? And y'all not even responding. That's crazy. Kurt say, yeah, he there. Okay, Nikki, sure. I'd love to, but can't make it. Right. Yes, send a jet for me. That's sounds good. Okay, cool, cool. All right, for those that respond, yeah, we might do something. We might bring through the food and that kind of stuff. I just everybody bring a drink or something like that. We just chill. You know what I mean? But I like the outline. You know what I mean? My wife likes games. Like we like the vibe. All right, we have some fun, man, on the beach, that kind of stuff, play some games and stuff. Like it should be lit. All right, it should be lit. It should be fun. All right, but look out for it. For sure. Look out for that. I think we may definitely do it. But we will put the information within the community as well. Right? You can imagine if we get like 700 people come out someplace. That would be crazy. All right? That would be wild. All right, what is going on here? We got a beach flood like a fat. We got a beach flood, baby. What is happening? What is happening? It's insane. All right, that'll be insane for real. But anyway, Prophet Arena teas and towels. Kurt, you on the side here, boy. Prophet Arena teas and towels, bro. I sound like a fat but you. Not teas and towels. Oh Lord, we recorded all this. This is start recording.